So have you ever felt like your current workplace wasn't encouraging communication between the people that actually work there? Have you ever felt like your core values don't necessarily align with the actions that are being taken by your organization? Well, today we're going to solve that problem. I'm going to break down how to systematically build culture and look for ways to lead your organization, even if your organization is just yourself, towards success. So who am I to even be giving you this advice? My name is Justin Konikow. I'm one of the owners of Prime Real Estate, the most globally trusted name in real estate, and Prime Media Productions. Prime Media Productions is the company that creates all the digital creative and runs ads against that creative to accomplish what we've accomplished. And what have we accomplished? Well, we're located in Western Ontario. We have a team of about 30 people that does something very unique in our industry. We cover all aspects of real estate: residential, commercial, investing, agriculture, land development, recreational properties. But how can we be experts in everything? Well, we have a decentralized command. So my wife and I own the company at the top. We're stewards of the company. We feel like God's in charge. And underneath us, we have our Navy SEAL team of experts. We have our snipers, we have our demo guys, our medics, and our tech people. And each of those cover the different asset classes. So we come together with a very clear set of core values and how we like to execute. And we're constantly refining our systems to make sure we operate at a global level. And I think why we've been able to achieve success is because of the speed at which we are able to work. It is much faster than a lot of other people in our industry, and we compete with global mandates. We just did the acquisitions and we're doing the sale of the Start.ca buildings, which is a global telecommunications provider. We've repped many, many companies in our area that you think would normally just run towards a global mandate, but it's because we were very focused on what we did, what our culture was about, and adding and separating pieces that didn't necessarily fit our culture. So in terms of the objectives of this, the takeaways I really want you to have are being able to build the foundations of a healthy culture, create your own core values and visions, building your own positive work environment, empowering and motivating your team, how to resolve conflicts, and then give you a little bit of a case studies of some things that we're changing actually live right now that are definitely going to impact our culture moving forward. So the first thing that I actually want to jump into is, what are the foundations of a healthy work culture? So the definition of work culture is a collection of attitudes, beliefs, behaviors that make up a regular atmosphere in a work environment. And with that, I think the core values are the next thing I literally need to mention. And this took me nearly a decade to build, but I want to read it for you because I definitely think it matters. In terms of our core values, I think when we're talking about Prime, I really like to tell people that there's three things I look for in team members at Prime. And this doesn't matter if it's on the production side or the real estate side. We look for intelligence, integrity, and energy. I'm not looking for somebody that's a high producer, because a high producer with bad core values is actually going to be a net negative to my culture. I have hired some in the past without a solvent hiring process, just because I think I could fix everybody or I can help everybody, or, we can make them fit the core values. But that scarcity mindset is not something that I can fix in many times. Like if you get somebody that comes into your organization and they have core values that are completely different than yours, the damage that can do to your organization is paramount. And you're actually better to cut that off right away than let it fester and try and just make a square peg fit into a round hole. So the next thing I had to outline is, what are we a place for? What are we a place not for? We are a place for building each other's up, lifting up our communities, giving more than we take. We are passionate driven, meaning we are willing to go in and do the work ourselves. We're workers, and we're willing to do what it takes. We're conscious people, spouses, parents, neighbors, and friends. We are transparent, honest, collaborative, top performers, and we try and outgive each other daily. We are not greedy, driven by short-term ambitions, fakers, cloud chasers, dishonest, self-serving, and secretive. And once you have this framework, it's very important to review it on a regular basis. It's very important to make sure that you are putting these principles in front of the team on a regular basis and asking them if their decisions are tracking to the core values that you've put in place. And that goes to my next point of building a positive work environment. It's not about just putting a logo on a wall like a lot of corporations do and say, these are our core values. Walk by this every single day. But the employees are walking through scoffing at it, being like, yeah, but your leadership or the decisions that the admin just made or the marketing team don't really track to that. right? Or when money's involved in real estate, this happens all the time, and people start counting other people's money. Does that track to your ambitions and your core values? And if it doesn't, what are you willing to do in order to have a conversation around that? So I think look at your workspace. I think building a healthy work environment is critical. Let's talk about a hybrid environment. A hybrid environment means virtually these days, we do want to be able to work from any platform, anywhere on the planet. I have agents that have traveled to Australia, Portugal. I have people that go to BC on a regular basis. They will go and live outside of the city for a period of time, and they can still work on files here because we've built a system for it. But are they engaging? Are you engaging them? Here's one simple thing that I did wrong for a long period of time that we've now simplified, and it's putting the people first. So we were running role play meetings every single day from 8:30 till 9, and then we do a team huddle 9 to 9:15. But it wasn't mandatory. And there were some people that were there and some people that weren't there. And it was very convoluted because it was 5 days a week, and it became a very heavy workload to show up and only have 3 out of 26 people at some of these meetings. Some days we'd have a dozen, and it was fantastic. But consistency is a really big thing. So we audited all of our employees and we started asking them, and this took about 6 months. What do you enjoy about the role plays in the town halls? What do you enjoy about the role plays in the huddles? What's your schedule? What would you like? Right? Do you want to be there in person? Do you want to be there virtually? And a lot of the feedback we got was the virtual component was something that they wanted because of the way that the world is today. They do value in-person one-on-one interactions, but probably at a scale that makes sense given the type of business we do. So we shifted and we actually started doing a weekly town hall where we packed in everything we would do in the huddles into one really big meeting once a week. And then we actually started something called the Red Zone. And again, this is something where we implement things, we try them, we make sure that it's valuable. We really want to find the 20% that becomes the 80% of value. And the red zones have become incredibly valuable for us because it helps us collaborate as to where is every file at? What do we need to do to move the ball forward for our clients? And it actually helps us collaborate with each other so that if I'm stuck on something or negotiating a deal or one of my agents is, we can have 3 or 4 different perspectives on that same thing that allow us to come up with really creative solutions for our clients. Also, it keeps cohesive communication because we collaborate. We actually collaborate on a ton of files, which is not normal in the real estate industry. Normally, agents are an island unto themselves. Many times they say they're a team, but they actually have no idea what's going on each other's files. It enables us to communicate at a very, very high level. So I think you got to encourage communication, collaboration, and then also coupled with that, I think you have to reward good behavior. I think people that actually make time for the town hall meetings in the red zones, they get priority leads and they'll get actually given business on a silver platter just to reward that showing up attitude. And what's really cool is the more I see that, the more I can not be in a meeting, pop in and see them collaborating, which is the culture piece that I'm trying to get to, right? If the entire system's reliant on you and you have to go away for a week and the system completely breaks down, you don't have a company, you don't have a business, you have a job that relies on you. But if you can create this culture piece and nurture it, it will work even when you don't. And people can tap in and out of the system and the ecosystem and get tons of value if you do it correctly. I also think the next part about, right after you reward them, is I think you need to motivate them, but I think you need to find out what their goals and ambitions are in order to be able to motivate them properly. I think a big thing that goes wrong with a lot of leaders is they're providing opportunities based on the leaders' opportunities or ambitions. I think a lot of people are not listening to what their team or the people in their ecosystem are actually striving for and working towards. And it goes back to the very beginning of this training. Our core value or our mission statement is be the most trusted name in real estate. So that is a mission statement that everybody can buy into. And if they feel like they want to be aligned with the most trusted name in real estate, now what is it that I can encourage them in that is unique to themselves that aligns with that vision? I think communicating with them and really motivating them to go out and build their own subculture within the culture is another way of adding an incredible layer to your company. We have people at Prime that are motivated in many, many different facets. We have some people that are professional cyclists. Victor is in Australia right now, and we just crushed a deal together last weekend. And last year he was riding bikes with Team Canada at the Nationals in Italy, right? And what's fascinating is not something that I would ever do, but encouraging him to do what his passions are aligned with actually makes him a better real estate agent. And he's one of the best condo agents on the planet. And what's cool is he feels like he can still be a part of the culture, even though he's living a life that is not the exact same as every other person at Prime. The people at Prime are all unique. They're all driven. They're all very, very talented and experts at real estate, but they are more than real estate agents. And I think we are moving into a work culture where the people, the human capital, are more important than the individual profits. The profits end up becoming more than your average company because of the fact that the people feel more valued and happier and enjoy the work that they do than the people that just want to pump out as much volume and take photos in front of their Lamborghinis and Mercedes to show the world how successful they are. I think, especially in the last year with the shift in the real estate market, the perception of what it means to be a real estate agent is getting very, very challenged. And I would encourage people, if you're running a real estate organization, to get very clear on your mission statement, your core values, and your internal culture, and what you're actually doing to cultivate it, how you're communicating with the people that are involved in it in terms of, does this culture track to your ambitions, finding out their ambitions, and then motivating them to do more of what makes them excited and bring that back to the team. Now, when you're running an organization and culture is such a big piece of it, you're going to naturally have conflict. You're naturally going to have challenges. The very best way I've ever found to address this is meeting them where they're at and not being afraid of having difficult conversations. The definition of a really good relationship is the ability to talk about really hard things and not feel personally attacked when you're having those conversations, getting critical feedback. And I think making people safe to bring you that critical feedback and have a conversation with them is critical. As a leader, you need to be able to outline to them maybe why you're doing the things that you're doing and explain to them that you're doing a 5 or 10-year plan. And although it seems like you're making a decision that's very quick today, it's for the overall health and culture of the organization. Communicating that effectively with your people in your organization will lead to more solvent communication. Also, being able to own mistakes in hard conversations are one of the best ways to develop that trust piece. I've had that personally. I talk very factually. I'm very much a straight line. I create systems, SOPs. I time block like a maniac. I'm creative when it comes to my marketing. So I'm very heavy into the art aspect of real estate. My wife is the numbers person. But when it comes to how we're running the organization, I'm just a straight line. If I see a problem, I try and solve it. And sometimes I don't take people's emotions into account when I'm having communications with them. So I've realized that I need to, when I'm communicating with people, make sure that what I'm saying isn't being taken harshly, because sometimes I can say things very directly, knowing what I mean in my heart and that I value that person and I'm trying to help the situation. But people have very difficult narratives of themselves, and they can take what I'm saying and they can let it stew and they can let it fester, and they can feel bad about themselves because they're taking something being said as, here's a challenge, let's try this to fix it, as they made a mistake, right? Or they did something in a way that it shouldn't have been done. And I have a perception of how that item is going to affect our relationship moving forward. And the best part about it, I've been able to use difficult situations to circle back, clarify the communication, let them know where my heart is actually at, and create some of the most strongest relationships ever, where they do feel very, very trusted and they can call me with very difficult things and we can help them solve them. Case in point, you're an agent that works for me. And I tell you in a meeting, we sit down and I tell you, I don't need you. You don't have to work here. If you leave, I make more money. So it's all good. If you feel like you need to have a transition, go for it. I've actually said that to people before. And the reason that I say it that way isn't because I'm trying to devalue them as a person. It's because the model that I've built doesn't rely on real estate agents. We're one of the only brokerages on the entire planet that doesn't need agents. Brokerages are typically in the recruiting business, right? They throw events, they do a lot of training that is completely geared as a pitch to get you to be like, oh, that'd be a great place to work. Look, they're saying everything about the things that I want to do, and maybe I should sign up for their next thing. We just don't do that, right? Because the model we wanted to create was one where I found people that I didn't need, but they didn't need me either. I want people that are driven. I want people that are going to be extremely successful, regardless of if they work for Prime or not. I don't want to hold them hostage. I want to give them a ton of business and opportunity. We gave $1 million to our team last year, and hey, let's collaborate on this business. I'm pretty sure we're one of the only brokerages that can say that. We put cash into their pockets and trust that they're intelligent enough to go reinvest that, build side hustles, side businesses, and everything else. We didn't give them stock options. We gave them cash because I think that that's incredibly more valuable and allows them to feel that freedom to be themselves. I find that sometimes brokerage models are built to make people feel like they're being held hostage. Like, you're completely reliant on leads. We give our agents leads, we give them silver platter business, but we also show them how to go out and get it because I don't want them to rely on my business, right? I don't want them to be a replica of Justin. And that's the point of me telling that story is one time I remember saying to somebody, hey, like, we're not built in a way that like, if you quit, we run out of money. Like I actually make more if you leave because we gave you X last year and this is the dynamic. So everything I'm saying to you is coming from a place where I'd rather you be happy and not work here and we be friends than you stay and feel resentment because of the structure of the organization or whatever we're doing. That relationship is one of my strongest now because it took 2 or 3 conversations to work through what that looked like. And I was told when you said that, it made me feel like you didn't value me. So I was able to own that and come back to the conversation and say, no, quite the opposite. I value you so much that I would rather see you happy than tell you whatever you want to hear to just keep you here. That agent's still with us. And yeah, super, super happy that we were able to have that conversation. But the point of all of that is if you're not willing to sit down and have those conversations, you're never going to develop real culture because now that person knows exactly where my heart is. I know exactly where that person's heart is. And they actually have an impact in other people that look up to them in the organization. And they feel more empowered that it's not just strictly a business relationship. It's a family. Simon Sinek has talked about this in depth about how previously we would have communities and friends and we would really operate as a community for the better good of the community. Work kind of became our communities because we became islands unto ourselves. And I think people will now rely on work as their family, right? It's the people that they see. It's the ones they go out with after work and those dynamics. What I'm trying to do is blend the two again and really make people feel like there's no difference between who you are as a person when you're not at work and who you are as a person when you are at work. I truly believe in this day and age, you can find your passions and you can align it with a job that allows you to live out your passions, make money, say doing transactions, but becoming wealthy through the depth of relationships you make in your business. And your work is just a part of that. So for those people that feel like they need to be somebody different than they're at work and then at home, I truly don't think you need to do that. And if you are that person that likes counting other people's money, lives with a scarcity mindset, is not transparent and honest, guess what? There's cultures out there for you. There's places where that exists and it's totally cool. If you want to go work at those places, it just doesn't exist at Prime. Now, how do you measure the success of your work culture at Prime? I would say do a yearly review with everybody. It's a very simple process. My mentor, Ryan Serhant, taught me this. And it was literally just sitting down with them and saying, hey, how's everything going? And asking them, what do you want to accomplish this year? And then I think once you have that conversation, track it. And throughout the year, you can do this probably quarterly, just measure against what they told you they wanted to do. In real estate, it's pretty simple. You could track production and, hey, you want to do 25 deals a year? Okay, that means you got to make 20 calls or 20 outreaches a week. You should be going on this many appointments. Let's build a system and let's track it. And then it's really just getting into the trenches together and holding each other accountable. And if they're not showing up and if they're not doing the things that they said they wanted to do, have a conversation with them about it, but don't make it feel like you're upset at your employees because they didn't hit the KPIs to track to their goals. Just have a conversation around them and say, hey, you said this was your ambition. These were the actions you took. So we need to either change your actions or your ambitions and make it something where you're partners in the situation. And it's not just an overlording feeling where they feel less than because they didn't do the thing they said they wanted to do. I also think another thing you could do is gather your employee feedback. I think this is one of the most important things you can do as a business owner. You can set up a survey monkey and you can make it anonymous. I think that's a great way for you to be able to get feedback from your people and get real feedback as to what you need to improve on. So the two questions I like to ask, and you can write these down: what did we do well and what could we improve on? And then I actually write it all down. I did 26 meetings in January. I still got about 4 to go until the spring. And then we look at everything, my wife and I, and we look at, well, what do we actually need to improve on, and what systems do we need to scrap? And then we look at that for the next year, and we're in it right now. And the cool thing is, the people that get it in the organization, the people that have been with us the longest, have seen us do this perpetually over the last decade. And we're constantly bolting on and removing pieces of the system to try and find the 20% that is going to bring us the 80% return. Now, if you want more insights into how we're building our organization and all of the things, I'm going to give you a very simple way to connect with me, especially if you're on Clubhouse. I want you to go to justinkonikow.com/resources. If you're on YouTube, by all means, you can pop in as well. Just sign up for this. This will give you direct access to me. It'll give you direct access to all of these guides around how we do what we do. Obviously, if you're on YouTube, hit the like and subscribe button. Tons of videos that go more in depth into our work culture. We actually have videos showcasing our team and what our perfect day looks like. And another way to get insights is the Prime People podcast. So I'll drop this in Clubhouse. Actually, let me just remove this link really quick. So I'm live on Clubhouse as well, too, if you're watching the YouTube video. The Prime People podcast is me interviewing other people and trying to draw out lessons about how they've built their work culture. I've had Ryan Serhant on as well. There's a recent one that I did with him. There was Michael Meyer, Michelle Belisari, Tommy Caldwell, Tony Salazar, Bobby Umar, 500K on LinkedIn. He's a monster. I had Chris Keller, Mike Heddle, Barbara Majeski was on. I mean, I can go on and on. Brad McCallum, Glenn Lundy. I mean, everybody's been on this podcast. And this is probably one of the most solvent ways for you to find ways to bolt on things to your culture. Look for inspiration from other people, but there's no substitute for actually putting in the work. I think it's ultra crucial for you to be willing to actually put in the work, review how you're operating, get your core values set, jump into the comments. Let me know at least what your mission statement is or what your core values are. And if you don't have them yet, it's all good. Sign up for my newsletter and you can actually reply to me there in the future. Thanks again for being on another live stream. I see everybody in the comments. Malcolm O'Brien, good morning. Gilbert, I see you as well. Kimberly Watkins, Sheila Santini, Derek Bixler. Derek Bixler gave me some advice on Google My Business. Go find him on Instagram if you have GMB questions. He's a monster. But thank you, everybody, for being here. As always, these segments are typically 7 to 7:30 every single Friday. If you have a specific topic you want me to cover, let me know. I have oodles from the community, and I will get to them, and I'll make sure to put them on the list. But thanks again for joining me on this one, and I'll see you back in Clubhouse.